Your goals are not favorable. Your dreams are not favorable. Your desires to transform into a better person are not favorable. Marathons, not favorable. Getting A's, not favorable. Scaling a business, not favorable. Your fitness journey, not favorable. The value in the result, it lies in the grind that it took to get there. Welcome to episode 6. This is Begin Again.
Stories rooted in transformation.
I'm Caleb.
And I'm Jenny.
And today we're going to be talking about overcoming. I would like to mention that this is our last pillar. This is our last pillar, and then things will start to feel a little bit more podcasty because we will be sharing our stories rooted in transformation.
Yeah.
And so
our own personal experiences.
Personal experiences of others. We've got a lot of content coming up and a lot of planning. So be ready for that. And we've already had to overcome a lot of things when it comes to this. So yeah. I hate to have started it out so what people might think is negative, but it's not. Because favorable outcomes are not overcoming. They're expected.
Yeah. Well, James Clear kind of talks about that in his book. You know, you mentioned, you touched upon the goals part, but James talks about having a solid system in order to overcome the experiences, you know? So we can touch upon that more, but you keep going.
When I think of overcoming, the definition of this word is rooted in battle. It is going up against a situation that is unfavorable and winning. Here's the thing though. When you willingly face adversity, you're not putting yourself in a place to win, but you're putting yourself in a place to grow. And that's what it means to overcome something. And when this cycle is repeated, that's an accomplishment.
So we didn't talk about having a Bible story, but as soon as you said the word battle, what do you think popped up into my head? David and Goliath. Yeah, that one's I know overused a lot, and it especially for children, right? But it's a simple story about overcoming, you know. So I think we can learn a lot from David.
Absolutely, yeah. He conquered a giant with a slingshot.
Overcame his fear and his self-doubt.
Yeah.
He was supposedly, from what I remember from the story, physically not the strongest or the biggest in his army. And the Lord still used him.
Yeah, for sure. And so overcoming is not getting to the top of the mountain. That's not what defines overcoming. When you get to the top, that is by definition overcoming, because overcoming is a result. But that's not what defines that word. The very thing that defines overcoming is the grind. It's the thing that has made it difficult. That's how you define overcoming. Because, for example, when I'm cooking a meal, I'm not like going to the store and buying a frozen meal and throwing it into the oven is not going to be as good as if I have to forage my own fruits and vegetables, if I have to slaughter the meat that I'm eating.
Right.
If I'm overcoming a process of eating, like that's, and it's the same thing. Whether I eat a frozen meal, that becomes a mundane task. Or I literally have to depend on my skills for survival, which is eating. It now becomes a skill with difficult tasks. And that is overcoming, is that process of having to slaughter your meat or having to forage your own vegetables.
I mean, we can simplify it even more. We can overcome on a daily basis. We can overcome our lack of motivation to work out, to choose the grind, overcome that self-doubt that tells you you're not good enough. The one that tells you, that you're not enough.
Yeah.
So I think that's perfect that you said overcome doesn't mean I got to the top of the mountain, right? Because you can overcome smaller tasks on a daily basis, smaller things that we struggle with on a daily basis throughout our transformation.
Well, I got a question. Let's take a mountain. And there's two ways to get to the top. You can either drive or you can hike through a treacherous, hard, awful path. Who overcame the mountain?
Well, the less convenient
The
route.
hiker.
The hiker.
But they both got to the top.
Yeah.
And so that to me is overcoming.
Choosing the path less followed.
Yep, exactly. The result isn't what brings value to an accomplishment. It's the grind. It's the trials and the tribulations. It's the failures and the difficulties. It's the misery and the pain. The harder the task, the more valuable it is. Not because of the task, but it's because of what it took to accomplish it.
Yeah. What it taught you.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, which is what he talks about in Atomic Habits, the system that you take to get to that result. The result is amazing, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for as much as the grind and the hustle, like you said.
Yeah. There's a hiker, and he talks about his experience with overcoming. And I think it's super cool. Alex Holland, he talked about how when he sits in an airport, he sees so many people freaking out and being frantic and like, oh my gosh, and like they're out of control of things. And he's like, when you overcome things like death, like when you're facing death, going back to the definition, when you're going up against an unfavorable experience and winning, you have now redefined what everything in life really means. I take my marathon training, for example. I was naive to think that the first time was going to work for me. And it was so frustrating when it didn't. But I had to take a step back and I had to say, if I had done this on the first try, would I have really overcome a marathon? Do you know the history behind a marathon?
You taking it back to the Greeks?
Yeah.
Okay. I know a little, but
So, for those who don't know, a marathon started because I think it was the Greeks. You know, if there's any history people who want to correct me, feel free. But I think it was the Greeks had won a battle. And a person wanted to run to the king to let him know, hey, we won the battle. And right as he got to the king, he collapsed and died. Because the run was so treacherous. You know how long that was?
How long?
26.2 miles. And now we as human beings have made it a race. Because there's a lot of value
Right.
to accomplishing and overcoming the process of a marathon.
Yeah.
The only reason a marathon has value is because of the difficulties that it takes to accomplish it. I don't celebrate getting up in the morning and, you know.
So realistically, what does marathon training look like?
It's horrible. It's awful. Anybody who trains for
How long is that process?
it's long. I mean, probably
I mean, I know it varies
More
person to person, but
9 months.
wow.
9 months.
And people give up on their diets within a week.
Yeah, it's 9 months. And it's 9 months of nothing easy too, you know? And you don't get to get up one day and say, "Oh, you know, I don't feel like it." No, you get up and you push. And that's the misery that I'm talking about. That's the like marathon, the idea of a marathon is amazing. But what it takes to do it,
Yeah.
it's awful. It's unfavorable, really. The idea of going to the gym every single day, you see somebody who's ripped and shredded, you're like, oh, that's awesome. It's like, tell him that.
Yeah.
Tell him that's awesome.
And ask him how or her how long it took them to get
Yeah,
there.
and ask him how easy it was.
Right.
And see what they say.
Even when they're at peak physique, it's still difficult.
Yeah. If you've ever seen somebody preparing for a show, a bodybuilder, it's
It's grueling.
It is. It's horrible.
Yeah.
There's nothing great about it. And so overcoming isn't defined by finishing. It's defined by what it took to finish.
Yeah.
Because again, I can do 26.2 miles today, right now, actually, in a car. But I didn't overcome a marathon. I could ride on somebody's back while they run the 26.2. I didn't overcome a marathon. I just got to the end. The end doesn't define overcoming. The end isn't what it means to overcome something. It's the things that it took to get to the end. That's what defines overcoming something.
I like it.
So, what are your thoughts?
Well, I have some first account experiences that I can share. So today I was thinking about man, who is someone in my life that has overcome a lot? And it's March, so it's Women's Month. And so I thought, okay, who's a woman that's overcome a lot in her life? I know I've talked about my grandmother before, being an immigrant. Well, she's an extension of my grandmother. Her name is Nancy. She's my tia. She's my aunt, so she'll be watching this from Miami. I called her because I immediately thought of her. She's what social media likes to call a corporate baddie. You know, she's a powerful woman in a suit and blazer, and she's worked in executive administration for many, many years, but that did not come easily. You know, she had to claw her way, for lack of a better word, to the top, right? When I called her, I asked her, you know, what have been some significant setbacks in your life? At first I used the word failure, and she said, you know, I don't like that word. And I told her, well, this is what I mean by failure. I think failure is inevitable. I think that failure, we give failure a negative connotation, but it doesn't necessarily need to mean that.
Right.
They are, I mean, you've said it before. There's no, it should be a neutral word.
Yeah.
Right? There shouldn't be a negative or a positive connotation attached to the word.
Yeah.
It is just a series of events helping us get to our goal, helping us to overcome. You know?
It's feedback.
It's feedback. So, I told her, okay, I won't use that word. Maybe is there a significant moment in your life that you can tell me, that you can think about, that helped you get to where you are today, and how did you overcome those situations? So she instantly thought of 3. One of them has to do with family, so with children. One of them has to do with marriage, and the other has to do with career. I think those are all 3 things that resonate a lot with women, right? So when she was about, let me see, I think she was 30 at this point. Yeah, she was 30. No, she wasn't 30 yet. She was like early 20s. So she was like in her early 20s, and her husband, my uncle, they were trying to have a child, and they couldn't get pregnant naturally. So she went down the path of IVF, and she ended up miscarrying at, I want to say, the age of 28, something like that. She miscarried after many rounds and lots of money that they spent on IVF. She was devastated. She talks about how devastated she was, and she was like, I was lost. I didn't know what to do. And I was trying to fill that void with anything and everything that I could. And I asked her, like, okay, so what did you do to overcome it? She said that she decided she sought God. And she said that one of the ways she did that is by taking a pilgrimage to Rome. So she went to Italy, her and her husband. And she said that she was sitting in the church, and there was a sign, and that sign said confessions in English. So she did tell me, she's like, I know y'all that you all are Christian. And I was like, well, that's okay. Like, she's Catholic. And I said, that's okay. We can still tell your story. It doesn't, it can still resonate with our viewers. So she says she sees a sign. She goes to give a confession, and she is just bawling, and she's telling the priest that I'm so angry at God, and how could he do this to me, and he knew what I wanted, and how could he do this to me? And he said, that's okay. You can be angry with God. He's your father. You're allowed to be angry with him. That's not a sin. Why are you confessing this to me? And she said that it took her a while, but she said in that moment she felt some relief. She felt some relief of like pressure. And so she kept praying. She kept, seeking out the Lord's wisdom. And 2 years later, she decides to look into adoption. And shortly, maybe about a year after she looks into adoption, my cousin is born. She meets his mother on Easter. And then about a month after Easter, he's born, he comes home. The second phase of her life that she talks about overcoming is her marriage. So her divorce. So she was married to her high school sweetheart. They were 15 when they got together. 20 years later, they get divorced, and, she finds herself alone in her house. She's got to pay her mortgage all by herself. She's got to pay the car. She's got to pay all the bills by herself. And she has my cousin who is a year old, and she's mad at my uncle. She hates him. She lost a lot of weight. She was depressed. She was mad at him, and she's mad at God again. How could he do this to me after all these years? And again, she goes to church, and she's sitting in the pew. She's praying, and it hit her. She was like, I'm gonna keep drinking the poison. I'm the one drinking the poison. I need to forgive him. So she made a choice. And last week we were talking about letting go of that want for like validation, and that's when you're going to feel true freedom. Well, she said that she felt freedom when she let go of all that hate in her heart, you know? And then the last one, which to me, I think resonates the most with me. So she has worked in healthcare for over 26 years. She started off as a frontline worker. She worked her way all the way up to executive administration, okay? She does really well in her job, you know, financially, and she's in a high-powered role. And 2 years ago, there were lots of layoffs in her hospital. They were doing corporate restructuring, and they decided to lay off her position. And so at first she was going to be left without a job, but you know, she created a very strong rapport for herself at that company. And they decided that, okay, we're going to keep you on, but it cannot be at the same salary nor the same role. We're going to move you to a different department. So it was essentially a demotion. And at first she was crushed. But in this economy, you got to take what you can get.
Yeah.
You know? And so she took it. She learned. She definitely talked about all the self-doubt that she would have. I mean, she had to lead a bunch of different departments. She had to lead all these people in a completely new field. She's never worked in before. Mm-hmm. Okay, she's still at the healthcare level, but it's a completely new department, a completely new field. She's never worked in this. She has to show up to work confident and ready to lead all these people. She's like, I can't let them down. They depend on me, you know?
Yeah.
So she had to overcome a lot of self-doubt. And I asked her, well, like, how did you do that? How did you overcome all this self-doubt? How did you overcome, you know, the hatred that you had? How did you overcome your anger for God? And she said that a really big part of her overcoming, number one, it was a choice. But that choice was fueled by my grandparents, my immigrant grandparents. She said when she was growing up, her parents would remind her all the time, I didn't come here from Cuba. I didn't sacrifice all of this just so that you can give up, just so that you can fail. And she's like, those words are ingrained in my head every single day. That is what got me up in the morning every single day to keep going. So in our first episode or our second episode, we talked about purpose, right? And purpose looks different for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I know I'm being long-winded here. I'm sorry. Because I have another story to share about another friend of mine, but we can save it. We were just talking about purpose yesterday, and she asked me, how do you do it? How do you overcome all that self-doubt? And that's what I told her. I said, you need to find your purpose. You need to figure out what is going to drive you. What is going to get you up in the morning? What is going to allow you to make the choice to keep going, to keep grinding, to keep hustling? So I encourage you to do that. Whatever that purpose may look like for you, I encourage you to do that. And that's what's going to be able to help be the catalyst of your overcoming.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I wrote something down here that reminds me a lot of what you're saying. And it's this. There are two things you need to be successful. And when I say successful, I'm referring to overcoming, of course, in this sense. But there are two things you need to be successful. Ambition and failure. And if you can repeat those two things, you will overcome anything.
My friend Beza came to visit me from Louisville yesterday. And she's a really smart girl. She's a chemist. But just a month ago, she got laid off from her job. And, you know, she's worried because she's like, what do I do now? And, you know, she's on I want to say an H-1B visa. She's from Turkey. So her job is what is allowing her to stay here. So she doesn't have a lot of time. She needs to figure out what's my next move, right? We're pretty similar in personality. So that need for perfectionism, that a lot of that self-doubt and that just like, I guess, cynical mindset, we share that. And she was asked, she told me, she's like, I'm so proud that you started this podcast and I listen to you guys every week. And mind you, we haven't talked in a couple months. I didn't even know she was listening to my podcast. So look, we're already touching someone, you know? And she asked me, I felt like I was in an interview with her. She was like, well, how did you overcome your anxiety? And I was like, Faze, I haven't overcome any anxiety. I freak out before every episode, you know? Today, my anxiety manifested in like hyperactivity. But usually it manifests in like tears. I was like, I haven't overcome anything, Beza, but it's just a choice. I'm choosing to do it. And that's the thing, is that a lot of our life, it depends on our choices. I know it sounds so simplistic, but you have a choice when you wake up in the morning. What am I going to do today to make a difference? I feel like I'm Alfonso Alvarez now. How am I going to make a difference?
Yeah.
You know, but it's true. And she was also asking me, like, how do you overcome that fear of other people talking negatively about you? What was I struggling with last week?
You mean this week too?
Oh, this week too. Yeah.
Yeah. With image. And posting yourself.
Yeah. I still struggle with it. Because I'm like, oh my God, like my hair has to be perfect. And like my makeup has to be done. And my dress and this and that. And it's like, okay, no one cares about that stuff. Like,
Right. Yeah.
No one cares. But I have to get over it, you know? It is what it is. But yeah, I still struggle with that. I haven't overcome that, if you want to say. I haven't truly overcome it, but I am overcoming it.
Yeah, the ing refers to the process.
Right.
You know, and without that ing, that means like you've mastered it. You're there. But as we've said, it's always going to be a process. Like once you finish one, you gotta start.
You
the
gotta
other.
go to the next transformation.
Yeah, and to overcome, it starts with a plan. But before you can plan, you have to believe. You have to be so delusional that you have already convinced yourself
You achieved it.
that you achieved it.
It's funny because last night while I was talking to her, so she has this dream. She wants to be an entrepreneur. And she wants to specifically create sustainable products from bioplastics. Don't ask me what that means. She explained it to me and I was still kind of lost, okay? But again, she's a chemist. She's just like, you know, really intelligent girl. And she was like, but I don't know, and I don't know if I could do this, and I'm an immigrant. And I was like, stop all that. Stop all that. You're making excuses, Beza. And I had Caleb Ward in the back of my head. And he was telling me, make your dream so big that not even you think you can attain, that you don't even know how you're going to attain it.
Yep.
And I told her that. And I mean, you were speaking through me, seriously, because like I have such a hard time believing in myself, right? I have such a hard time, like even just for basic things. I'm always doubting myself, right? And like you have been a really big part of this journey and like my transformation and like my confidence, right? Sometimes it just takes that one person believing in you.
Definitely.
You know? Yes, you definitely have to believe in yourself, of course. I'm not taking that away.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it just takes like a good friend believing in you and telling you, like, you're an idiot, bro. Like, what? Like, why are you talking to yourself that way? You know?
Yes.
So, thank you.
Oh, of course. And same to you, you know. I do dream big, but, there are days where I'm like, I don't know, I don't know. And so no matter how much big you dream, you have to have a good support system
For sure.
to help you overcome. And that's why it's so important to get your support system involved in your transformation journey and let as many people know as possible. And so to touch on the dreams while we're talking about it, I truly believe down to my core that to overcome something, you must dream. You must dream. Because if you don't, then overcoming is going to feel like a nightmare. But if you're dreaming of a result, then you're going to understand that no matter what you have to do to get to that dream, it's going to happen. And it's going to make that grind and overcoming a difficult task easy. It's going to help with the process of overcoming. And so to do that, you really must speak as though the very thing has already been accomplished.
Yeah.
I already have, you've seen it. I have everything picked out. I have the house that I want. I have the car that I want. I know what I want for my family. You know those things. I already have them picked out. I have them saved. If you look into
Your farm.
my notes, you're going to think I'm like this narcissistic jerk, like I have it, but I'm not. I'm just delusional. But Mike Tyson, he said something really good that I really like, and it's something that I live by, and that is a delusion is defined by speaking your dreams and not turning them into reality. But if you already know that you're going to turn your dreams into reality,
It's not a dream.
it's not a dream. And it's not delusion.
Yeah.
It's reality. And right now you're just on the path. You're overcoming the things in your way. You are battling against unfavorable outcomes that are being presented in front of you in order to accomplish the thing, so that you can go from overcoming to overcome or overcame. That's the importance. That's what overcoming is. That's what it means.
Right.
And this is our last pillar to go over. And it is the most important one to understand, because from start to finish, that's overcoming. Because you have voluntarily stepped into a difficult task, a difficult journey. Transformation is not easy. It's appealing, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
Transformation is about overcoming. You struggle with the transformation of confidence. I struggle with the transformation of organization. But it's very appealing to me because I see organized people. It's very appealing to you because you see confident people. But the reality is that grind is not easy. And so I dream to be organized one day. In fact, I know I'm going to be organized. I know my farm. I know how it's going to be laid out by plots and acres, and where this is going to sit and where that's going to sit, and where my house is going to be in relation to that, and where the inpatient rehab facility, like living homes, are going to be in relation to all that. And I have it mapped out perfectly. And I'm the most unorganized person you've ever met in your life. And you guys haven't even met me. But trust me, some of you guys who haven't met me, I'm the most unorganized person you've ever met.
I can attest.
Yeah. But I'm speaking it into existence. I will be the most organized person anybody ever knows.
Yeah.
And your confidence is going to get there. But it's all from start to finish, from the time from the moment of conception. From the moment of conception that you speak of your dream, you have now started the process of overcoming what it's going to take to reach the birth of that specific transformation.
And it's a daily task to overcome. Daily. We're on 111 today.
We're on day 111.
Well, day
Whoa.
9, we have 111 to
days.
go.
Yes, days to go.
Yeah.
This is miserable. Just remember, at day 120, I was excited. Now I'm miserable. Not miserable in the sense of like I just want to be done,
Yeah.
but miserable in the sense that I've missed 2 rest days. You know, my body is tired. I have the privilege and honor of riding with the team while they eat pizza and Raising Cane's and Chipotle.
Yeah.
And
I ate the same meal for like the last 3 days and it was miserable. Today, while my entire leadership course ate pizza, I ran home and heated up my leftovers, which were sweet potato, arugula, ground beef, and cottage cheese.
is that favorable?
It was delicious.
It's unfavorable.
But it was still unfavorable because everyone was eating pizza and I wasn't.
Exactly. And so that's same thing. You know, I literally packed 3 meals when we were on the last away trip, and they had McAllister's. Love McAllister's. They had and they had this pizza place. It was so good. And I packed chicken, rice, and avocado. And I had 1 hot meal, and the other 2 were ice cold because they came out of the fridge. And I had to eat that while they ate
a hot meal.
a hot meal. And so I'm living in the process of overcoming. And it's hard.
Yeah.
But at the end of this 120 days, I'll have overcome and I'll have transformed. And I'll have lived out the things that I have desired, which are on our Instagram. You should look at them. And to be honest, I don't even know what's going to come of it. But I can't wait to talk about it when I figure it out. And to me, that's the epitome of overcoming. And so, yes, we have 111 days. And if you have not hopped on this, listen to me. We have 111 days left of this 120-day challenge. If you have not hopped on the train, I borderline beg you to join this challenge. Not for me, not for Jenny, not for Begin Again, but for you.
Don't start on Monday, okay? Start now.
Yes, there is no better time than now. The better time was yesterday, but the next best is today. And so don't wait for tomorrow. The second you hear my voice, start. Write your 5 goals down and commit to them for the next 120 days. Physical, mental, educational, and nutritional. For the next 120 days. And recognize and understand what it means to live in the process of overcoming, so that at the end of this journey, you will have been able to overcome a difficult task. And that adds real value to your desired accomplishments. Remember, the accomplishment isn't what holds the value. It's the grind, it's the hard work, it's the pain, it's the difficulty that comes with the finish line, or that comes before the finish line. So, we've certainly come a long way, and we
Got a long way to go.
We definitely have a long way to go, but this road to transformation continues.
Yes, it does. Oh, you gotta do it with your left hand.